I have spent my life working to protect those who have the least power from its abuse. And one of those groups of people is cannabis smokers, in the sense that they are often young, they are often without economic power, they're often from some other discriminated group, whether it's Maori or Pacific Island. They're often people that have just had the least opportunity to have a say about what happens to them. And this law is used to abuse them. What is the harm you're trying to prevent? Well, some drugs can cause harm, and cannabis can cause harm for some people. So what is the harm, and what is the public policy approach you should take to that harm? Prohibition, leading as it does to convictions and to jail time, creates an extraordinary amount of harm.
Our system is not working, definitely not working. Banning drugs, I know, will not work. I've seen too much devastation, and I've seen so many families going through hell, and I believe that the only way that we can fix the problem we've got is to decriminalise. We've got to take it out of the gangs. Everyone's saying to me, you've got to ban this, ban that, ban that. Jesus, prohibition's never worked.
Because it was growing so much up north, the boys did become very protective over their plots. Razor blades, guns, wrong identity, people being killed. I went to go and get some, and there was guys at the gate with their guns. If marijuana was legal, people like me, we could become a registered home grower. And the resources that the police are putting into stopping marijuana growers could go into better things, like trying to stop the war on P, which is the most, for me, is the worst drug on this earth.
I started helping families that had been affected with methamphetamine, families whose children had committed suicide. I was going in and helping them, cutting their children down that have hung themselves. I
have a niece and a nephew, and thank goodness they've come on the other side. It was very devastating. P has it doesn't discriminate against breaking down the brain cells, their consciences, their self-worth, and it ends up in violence. It ends up in people being really hurt. Yeah, and that's what happened with my niece and my nephew. One of the saddest times in our family. At the very beginning, when I started the P March, I was against marijuana. I was against all drugs, but there's a place for marijuana. I can see that, and I believe marijuana should be a medical substance. I'm using marijuana to help P addicts with their cravings, and it's working. So we've got to look outside the square.
If you do apply a rational scientific approach to cannabis laws, you can only come up with the view that prohibition doesn't work and should be done away with. The impacts, particularly say for the working man in a family, in a Māori family for example, in particular, or any family really, you're taking the person out of their job, so the income of that family is gone. That then requires that family to rely on the state. There's a whole lot of costs involved in keeping in contact with your family member who's in jail. If you're a Māori man, that turned out to be the most significant factor for being stopped and searched by the cops. You're also more likely to be convicted of that use, and you're also more likely to go to jail. You're 4 times more likely to get diversion if you're white.
Because the police are pretty tough. It's almost like a discrimination.
Does it make you feel angry that you're criminalised? I mean,
yes, absolutely. Yep, definitely. Because I have a daughter that's quite religious, and when she had her children, her first child, it was like, I'm the one that's going to be a bad influence on my grandchild because I smoke herb. That's the way the law is. It tells people that I'm a criminal, and I'm not. Yep, I'm not.
You don't need to hog up on one line. All these lanes are open. They are all going to be searched. Just don't get snapped, okay? We're in for a good day. Have your bag ready to be searched, bro. Go on, don't waste. Don't waste. Hey, Elvis. but you ain't getting it through the gate. It's open.
You're going to discriminate.
Move along, bro, or get out. Take your pick. Take any contraband off yourself that shouldn't be on you. Because once they got your snap, girlfriend, you are so going to lose it. Empty that on Papatūānuku, not in the bin.
Are you talking about the herb is confiscated and people come here because it's a reggae concert?
Yeah, it sucks. I know it sucks, but that's the rule. But there ain't much herb confiscated, it's mostly alcohol. You know, future concerts need to be more lenient and understanding of the kaupapa. I say stick to the weed, people, and you'll be happy chapping. Go through, honey.
Have we got tickets?
If you got tickets, just bowl on through. Never. I'm warning you, girl. I'm giving you time to get it out of your bag before you get there.
Spark it up now.
Save yourself $120 loss. Take the goods off yourself.
I don't believe we should sit back and follow other countries, particularly America. And I think this is the problem with New Zealand. We tend to sit back and wait to see what happens around the world before we actually turn around and do anything. And in between time, we've lost so many of our young people.
Well, for young people, of course, it's very difficult if they have a conviction. It can be very difficult for them to travel. And so you are cutting off a huge range of future prospects for that young person. We need them to be able to exercise the greatest freedom to realise their potential, and yet, you know, they're the most likely to be targeted by the police under prohibition laws. They're the most likely to get the harsher sentences, most likely to lose those opportunities, which impoverishes us all. Putting somebody in jail for something as stupid as cannabis possession is likely to lead to them to reoffend, and possibly reoffend worse because of all of the frustration and anger and rage at having been so unjustly treated. The lack of community awareness around the impacts of prohibition law on cannabis users, on the sense of prejudice about cannabis users, and the emotion that is propagated by politicians when talking about the issue. It's very difficult to have a conversation about cannabis these days that doesn't also involve reference to methamphetamine. The cannabis issue is transformed into an issue about some other kind of drug that causes some other kind of harm, as a way of avoiding the issues around cannabis, which is that it is much less harmful than both tobacco and alcohol, is very, very widely used. The law itself doesn't prevent people from using cannabis, but it does prevent people getting help if they do feel they've got a problem. And so it clearly is not working.
What do you think would be the effect on the pea trade and alcohol abuse?
Oh, it will go down. It's got to. Decriminalising any drug will help with the other problems that we suffer in the communities here. It's worked overseas, it will work here, trust me.
Keep the flow moving. Gentle. Gentle. Caress it. That's the way. We're riding the wave of love. We are good sisters. We are good sisters. Okay. Okay.